All
right, I'm gonna do the recording there.
What are you gonna say, little one? I don't know.
I don't know. I'm just gonna hide.
Just hiding?
Okay, maybe I'll hide too.
Oh, Angie's gonna hide. Oh, where'd she go?
I can still see your body.
Well, I'm not a very good hider, am I? I'm not quite well versed in hiding. Sorry.
Okay. Are you the best hider? Yeah. Okay. Go. Go jump on daddy or something. That's what you do when he's home. There's a little plug.
So I will share before we get chatting. I will just share for anybody that watches this on the replay. This was a very last minute bonus session, and Robena and I have these conversations every month. So we usually do this call. So you get to peek at what exactly happens in the membership. This is a once a month call, and we just speak about what we're curious about, what's on our hearts. Like, maybe Robena has questions. She brings up really cool things that I'm like, oh, I want to know about that. I already have my notepad beside me because she always gives me information that I'm like, oh, I want to look into that. So that's what this call is about, guys. This call is just, it's curiosity. Like I know both Robena and I are very motivated by wisdom, learning knowledge, and just exploring concepts and trying to see if we can't make sense of it, right? See if and it's okay, you don't have to make sense of everything. There's things that I let go of, because I'm like, I can't make sense of it. I put it, maybe I'm still interested, I stick it in my cave. If you join the membership, I talk about my cave all the time. It goes in my shelf, and then one day, maybe even 20 years down the road, it comes out of the cave and I go, oh, that's what that meant, and that's what these conversations are about. And it's just so feel free to join along if you want to explore whatever we're going to dive into today, like a deep dive. So what is on your heart today?
So yeah, one of the things that it was funny, that video that I sent to you on Telegram.
Yeah.
So the one day I was going to the bathroom and I was thinking about the moon, and I'm like, yeah, I do believe that the moon has an energy to it, simply because it's a part of our gravitational pull, plus the sun, which I am becoming more and more aware of its fundamental, like, I don't know, purpose, and that
right.
it is the what's the word I'm looking for? Source.
The source of light. It makes sense, right? It literally kind of makes sense. It's like, oh yeah, of course it is. It is the source of light.
And there's other things that I'll talk about afterwards. But yeah, so the moon does absorb energy from the sun as it's, and I'm sure that's why a full moon, it's a little more effective on us. It has a little more effect on us and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm not gonna toss it aside completely. I do still think that there is something to that energetic pull that it has. And then I got out of the bathroom, this was my whole bathroom break thing. I'm running this through my head about the moon. I go and I check my phone, and there's something from a friend of mine on Telegram, and it is that video about the moon, and I'm like, oh my God, I was just
what are the chances? Yeah.
Yes, it was because she sends me a lot of stuff, and she's kind of shown me rabbit holes that I never would have thought even existed, never mind traveled down. But yeah, and then with the sun being the source, and those mofos made us afraid of it.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
That is making me so angry right now. Yes. Because in one of the Tarot by Janine videos, she's like, people who are trying to detox from either getting COVID or getting, other things related. And she's like, yeah, I'm seeing the sun card or whatever card it was, meaning the sun, and to get as much
to get in
exposure.
the sun. Yes.
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 Get rid of the sunblock.
Absorb the light. Absorb the light. I've actually never
Yeah.
been much of a sunblock person myself. I've actually always like, I'm lucky. I don't burn, right? I have Filipino
Right.
skin, so I turn dark, and so it's always been nice. Like I get nice thing, and so I actually, it's in my older years that I started wearing sunblock, and then I developed this crazy allergy. And it, like, I had this weird, and it's when I started medication for anxiety and depression. And I never really had side effects from medication because I didn't really take any medication. And that was the first time I regularly took a medication. And then I developed a rash, like I started to develop a rash on my face, and it was and you know, when that happens, people are like, oh, what are you using that's new? And I was like literally nothing. It's the skincare routine I've been using for years. And it's now I'm allergic to it, right? And then what happened was I went on a cruise with my mom and my brother, and sunscreen, I had a huge reaction because I put sunscreen on my skin. And I don't usually put sunscreen, but when I'm down by the equator, I do burn. So I put sunscreen then. But it got me thinking, because same thing, I had somebody that kept sending me stuff. That's how I went down rabbit holes. I wouldn't have searched for it myself. And some of them I would listen to, some of them I just kind of like, doesn't really resonate. And one of them that they sent me had to do with the sun, and it had to do with the fear around the sun. And I started to, then it made sense. It was like, oh my God, those fuckers, they block us from anything good for us. Anything. It's the opposite. Everything's the opposite.
Yeah.
The opposite. It's crazy. It's crazy when you realize
funny.
it.
Oh my God, everything. And I distinctly remember in like the 90s, because 90s, because I was like 10, late 80s, early 90s, when the whole skin cancer, sun correlation came out in media. And I remember as a 10-year-old, I was like on the schoolyard in the shade, running to more shade. Like I was actually like, oh, the sun, and I was like running.
Right.
It was just me being ridiculous at the time as a very intelligent 10-year-old. And I remember when I would suntan, because I'm similar, I don't necessarily burn. I will just get more and more down over time. Again, changing as I've gotten older, but I wonder if it's because I've been using sunblock and my skin isn't
all the chemicals
doing the natural thing to, protect itself.
And we think about it too, like the skin is your largest organ on the body. And we are slathering chemicals all over it. Like
garbage.
Oh my gosh, every day, every few hours, like all summer long. Like, you know, it's kind of crazy. It's like, wow. Like, and anybody who's watching this on the replay, you don't have to believe what we're saying. You don't have to, it's okay. These are just things that we've been exploring, and we're finding some common, ground on and thinking. But, basically we're just talking about, there are people that want to control humans, humanity. And that's what this conversation is going. And we just keep finding more and more ways that they do it. More and more ways they get us to harm ourselves. They don't do it anymore. We do the dirty work for them. And then we shame other people who don't put sunscreen on. You know what I mean? Like, right. And then we judge, then we judge people that don't put sunscreen on their kids. And it's like this is how it all gets out of hand. And we corrupt everything. We corrupt everything so that people won't look at it. Fear is the motivator.
No, and it's such an easy tool to use against humanity, because it's one of the primal things that everybody is susceptible to. Because it's just it's very sad that this happens. But not for nothing, but like half an hour later I went and threw every sunblock thing I had in my house. I'm like, no, we're done with this. Like I just realizing so much now. I'm just like, no, No,
It's funny.
don't
I got
believe any of that.
excited. I had a moment where I got excited. doTERRA has released a sun care line, and I actually got excited because I actually had been waiting for it for a long time. for
Right,
that. I was like, why don't they
right.
have that? Why don't they have that? And it's funny. I got excited, and then I'm like thinking about it. I was like, I don't even think I'll buy it though because we don't use it.
Yeah,
We don't use it. I mean, I would. Yeah, I
totally.
guess if I go to Mexico, I probably would buy it just because the sun's a lot more intense there.
Yeah. So
But I wonder about that.
the one article I saw,
Yeah.
there was it had two suggestions for natural
Mhm.
sunblock, and the one, I forget the other one, but the one was raw shea butter,
Oh, okay. Oh, I
which
have
is actually a very common skincare
it in
ingredient.
there. Yeah.
I don't know where you would find it raw.
I
think
have it.
any-
I got it at like a market. It was just like one of those natural stands at a market.
Like it's raw?
I think so. That's what. Yeah, I think that's what it
Yeah.
says on it. It's raw shea butter.
I don't
yeah.
know the difference. To be honest,
Yeah.
I don't know what is different about raw or processed or whatever. I just assume there is some processing involved.
It's very like I would say I'm pretty sure it is raw shea butter, but it's not creamy. It's not. It's like very dry and it's very dry and flaky. It flakes apart instead of
Oh.
like a cream. You know what I mean? Or even like a
Oh.
ball. Like a balm still sticks together. It doesn't
Yeah.
quite stick together like that. But then I put it when I put it on the stove to melt it because I used to use it to make like hand balms, right? And when you put it on the stove or the double boiler to melt it, it just melts into a liquid. But to touch it, it's very crumbly.
Weird. I
Yeah.
wish I could remember what the other thing was. Maybe raw coconut oil? I don't know. But anyways, yeah. So yeah, not surprisingly, the earth provides us with everything we need if we happen to need. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
more and more we like, I'm sure you feel the same, the more and more you dive down and look at that, you really start to realize, like, you're right. What it comes down to is the earth has everything we need.
Yeah.
The earth was our
Yeah.
greatest gift, right?
And we came from it. Our bodies came from earth material. That's our gift from the earth, is our bodies.
Yeah.
And then yeah, our souls just kind of melded into it. But yeah, it's interesting too, even with the sun, because there was well, years ago now, probably at least 5 years ago, I started thinking like, well, this is weird that the sun actually causes us to become ill because it has like these UV rays that are used to disinfect stuff like water.
Right.
You know, like that's what they use. They use the UV rays to get like a minuscule bacterium and stuff like that. Water. And I'm like, well, then why is it hurting
Why is it
us
harming to us? Yeah.
if it's purifying the water?
That's really
So yeah, that really making me think. I'm like, I wonder if this is all a bunch of bullshit. And
yeah.
I'm 100% certain that yes, it is in fact.
Yes, actually.
Yeah.
You know, here's
Yeah.
another place where so a couple of summers ago we had mice, and I may have talked about this before. We had mice because my cat passed away. Actually, it wasn't even a couple of years ago. My cat passed away last year. And because we had no cat now, we had mice.
Yeah, they don't take long.
Yeah. And so that was never a problem for us. So we were like, oh my gosh, it was driving me nuts, right? And so of course we would talk with Kyle's parents about it, right? And so here was the thing though, I didn't like the traps. I didn't like the poison. But I didn't know what to do because I didn't like the mice either. So I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
it was stressing me out a lot. And so I remember we were in Kyle's parents' backyard and we're talking about mice. And I was starting to realize, like, wait a minute, like, why am I so afraid of the mice? Like, do I really need to be so afraid of them? Like, you know, like, and because I felt like I was getting irrationally afraid of them. And I didn't know what to do. And it was causing me so much stress. And so we were having this conversation because I bought like one of these metal traps, right? Where they're alive, they stay alive in the trap, and you bring them 2 kilometers away and free them. Okay. So I bought one. But here's the thing, Robina. It caught a baby mouse immediately, a baby one, a tiny baby, right? And I was like, I heard it all night. It caught it immediately. I couldn't get rid of it until the next day, and I could hear it all night. And I was like, this is awful. Like, this is worse. I think this might be worse, right? And so in the morning, I go to take it take it away, right? We're bringing it over to the escarpment, and it's like it's clear on top, so you can see the mouse. Its nose was bleeding because it had been trying to get out of the hole, but it's metal. Yes, I know. This is it was awful. It was so awful. So I'm sharing this experience, right, with Kyle's parents, because they're kind of making fun of me, like I'm being all like, you know, nice, kind to the mouse, whatever, right? And I was like, yeah, but here's the thing, guys. I was like, I don't know that I was kind. I was, yeah, that was my intention. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know that I was, right? And so then I can't remember what happened, but they said something like, well, all I know is mice are dirty and they're awful, right? And I kind of challenged it. I was like, but do we know that? Like, that's what we're told. We're told they carry all this disease. We're told that they're responsible for some of these huge pandemic things, right? Like, and I was like, I just don't know. And then they got kind of interested, but I took it as a challenge a little bit, but I got defensive, right? But they were sort of like, no, what do you mean? Like, what are you thinking? You know, and I was like, quite frankly, I don't believe anything they tell us. That's what I think. I think that they make a lot of money off of mouse poison, off of, you know what I mean? Us like trying to fight nature. And I know what happens when we fight nature. It's not good. When we fight nature, it doesn't end well. Yeah, it does. We don't win. We don't win. And so I was like, you know, I was like, I'm not saying I know what the right answer is, because quite frankly, I don't want mice in my kitchen either. But I don't know what to do. But you know what's interesting? Once I embraced that, the mice left. I never had to use, well, I don't use that trap. I never intended to use that trap again. But I think we put out regular traps after that, because I was like, I would rather do that, right? And they never came back. And we haven't had them since. So energetically, like I always talk about, everything's energy, right? And energetically, I came into acceptance of the mice. And I started to look at the message that mice bring, and it's about details. The message in my oracle, one of my oracle decks, is details, paying attention to details. I can't remember what the full message was, but I started to look at their message, and then they disappeared. They just stopped coming in our house. And I never did anything more. I never caught another mouse after that one mouse.
Yeah.
Is that interesting?
That's so interesting. Yeah. Because we actually had mice in the house last fall, and I was like, why do we have 2 cats?
Right.
What is going on here? Oh yeah, no, I was mad. I'm like, what? You 2 are useless. Like, what is happening here?
Right.
But the one had like fractured teeth. And he's like the best mouser you could ever find. But yeah, his teeth were all like sore, and so he had to get them pulled. And now that he's healed up, the mice were kind of gone after that. But yeah, for a while we had mice running around, and yeah, they go straight for the kitchen. And I would find like the poop everywhere. Everywhere.
That's what was driving me nuts. That was driving me nuts.
And you can, like, it has that smell because it was in my oven, and every time I tried to so like I just refused to use my oven because it would smell like poop no matter what. I'm like, come on. But yeah, I can deal with like the creature stuff. You know, I'd be sitting in my living room and I'd see it run across like the edge of the
me
room.
Too. They're bold.
There's the mouse over there.
They're bold. Like, I felt like they were bold.
You would realize I was there, like hide behind something.
Like,
I'm like, I see you. You know, I find them very cute little animals.
They are.
And then they would crap all over the counters, and then even in like the utensil drawer and silverware drawer. Come on. I had to like bleach everything. I'm like, this.
I threw out some of the girls' clothes because they were they peed on their shirts in the boxes.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it drove me nuts. It drove me nuts. But yeah, I was fighting them for so long, and then I stopped fighting them. And it's so interesting that they've just left, never come back.
That is very interesting. Yeah. Because I can't imagine without a cat not
Yeah. And we have an old house, right? There's holes
Yeah.
everywhere, like holes everywhere.
well,
Get it all over the place.
us being where we are, like out
You're out
in
in
the
the country.
country, it's just, yeah, they're just everywhere. But yeah, no, it's the poop.
But
Don't
that's
poop
it.
on my like food stuff. Come on.
That's it. But it's definitely the fear. Like I like, it's the fear that made me go into war with them. Like that's what I think about. I think about the fear that made me go into war and I think about the Buddhist teachings, and the Buddhist teachings are don't make a big deal. It doesn't need to be a big deal, right? When we make it a big deal, we create more opposing energy, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so that's what I like. The fear made me make a big deal out of it, made this huge opposing energy. And instead of getting the message that maybe I was supposed to get from the mice, I went through this with lice too. I went through this with lice with Alice. She kept getting lice. It was crazy. I like it was, and it was non-stop. And every day I was like combing her hair. I was doing all the things, and I didn't want to put the chemicals on her head. Like, so I was trying all these other ways, right? But it was driving me nuts. And until I finally realized they had a message, I got the message, and I can't remember what their message was. I don't remember. But yeah, we had this incredibly bad influx of it with her. And all of a sudden, when I stopped fighting it and I looked at the message, they went away again. Yeah. So I was like, huh. And so anyway, it makes me examine the fear. What is this fear? The fear I have of the sun, the fear I have of the mouse, the fear, or the mice poo even, or the fear I have of the lice, right? It's fear. I think that's what we need to examine in every case.
Yeah.
Fear is usually not working for us. Actually, it's never working for us.
No, and it's
Well,
so
maybe it
easy to
is.
believe it.
What's that?
If you're in a certain, I guess, headspace, it's so easy to believe.
Oh, so easy to believe. Yeah, you cut out. I didn't catch that. Yeah, it is. Yes, and that's exactly it. If you're in a certain headspace, that's key. If you're in a certain headspace. And so these people that seek to control us, right? They put us into that headspace, and then they inject the fear.
Yeah. 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 As soon as we're born.
Yeah.
They're putting us into this place. Yeah, for sure.
I used to say it all the time. They create the problem, and then they come up with the solutions. So they seem like the gods, right? Our saviors.
Yeah, yeah. But we don't realize they're creating the problem.
Of course we don't. Yeah.
We just think that they're uncovering it.
Yeah.
That's always been there, and they're just, they're like, oh no, this now.
I would even say that they pin it on us. They pin the problem, they create the problem, and then they say it's the humans that are the problem.
Yeah, yeah.
They've really programmed us to hate humans, to hate ourselves.
Another thing that came out like full force in the late 80s, early 90s, climate change.
Yes.
Like, this is something, again, I always kind of wondered, like, wouldn't maybe the earth just be doing this anyways? Like, is that not a possibility? We are just here for a short time, considering how old the earth is. So maybe it's just a cycle, like, these are the things I would think. And then, but it was jammed down our throat that we consume too much, that we have too many vehicles on the road, that we should all jam into one vehicle and go somewhere, and we should use public transport and all this other stuff. And it's like, but why wouldn't you just provide us with a different solution then, if this is really what the problem is?
Yeah.
And then when you dig, it's like, well, if they provide a solution to that, then they stop making money.
Yeah.
They
Oh,
made
follow the
of
money.
this problem with all the oil and the fossil fuels and everything else. And yeah, and I mean, now, you see climate control making a comeback, or
Yeah.
control,
Climate
climate
change.
change making a comeback. And it's like, what's going on here? I haven't heard anything for a while. Obviously, COVID's been front and center for the last 2 years, but even before then, you didn't really hear a whole
Hear a
lot.
Yeah.
And even stuff about recycling was starting to come out, how much of a sham that is.
Yeah.
Like if you're not putting the products into the recycling bin properly,
Then it's just
recycling plant just throws it out.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Like, and how some places you can recycle certain things and other regions you can't.
Yes.
Why is it not?
Which doesn't even make sense. Like in Toronto, it's
Yes.
different than here. Like,
Yes.
I don't understand that.
Because that city is so much different from this city.
Yeah.
So we all buy the exact same stuff from the exact same stores. So what's the deal? Yeah, and you start to question that. But yeah, the fact that it's come back, and now all this electric car stuff
Mhm.
really becoming front and center. It's
Yeah.
funny, I saw a picture and it was like a charging station at a gas station. And it's like, oh, okay, this Tesla charging station, whatever.
Oh,
And then
okay. Yeah.
around this like little building thing is circled. And it's like, this is where the diesel generator is that is powering this electric charging station.
Oh,
And I was
really?
like,
Wow.
right? Because yeah,
Oh, interesting.
all smoke and mirrors.
It is also, yeah, Janine says that a lot. That's one of her cards, right, in the tarot. And it's smoke and mirrors. And that card comes up all the time in her reading. Smoke and mirrors. It is all smoke and mirrors. I've always known that. It's always smoke and mirrors.
It's just unbelievable how, the planning these people go through.
Yeah. And I think that's what's so hard. That's what's so hard for, I believe, this is just my opinion. I believe that what makes it so hard for someone to buy into whatever, right? And some people could look at this as conspiracy theory. To me, I think it's been proven enough by now that these are not conspiracy theories. That's my opinion.
Spoiler alert.
But that is the label.
That's all it takes.
Right? That is the label that's given. But where was I going with this thought? Shoot.
Smoke and mirrors. Smoke and mirrors.
Smoke and mirrors. Yes. I believe. Oh, now I forgot what I was going with. Oh well, it'll come back.
You were saying you thought everything was smoke and mirrors.
Everything is smoke and mirrors. But there was a point I was going with, and now I can't remember it.
Oh, why people don't believe.
Oh, that's it. Yeah. So why people have such a hard time believing, because you said it. They are in for the long term. That's the thing. Like, we can't imagine, because they have programmed us so much to only be able to hold so much information and look at the short term. And that's because we've been enslaved, whatever you want to say, right? We have to focus in order to be able to function. We have to just look at this right here, right now. You know what I mean? What little bit we can't pull our head up and look at the big picture, because we're just so enslaved to fear, right? And so we can't see that they could think like this. But you have to remember, these elite, this 1% of people, they're not even huge, right? This 1% of people are so rich. They have all the time in the world for planning. They do this through generations. They program their own children. Do you know what I mean? And their own children carry on this work, right? And this has been going through generations. Like, they have been. That's why I think people have such a hard time even looking at it. Because I believe every single human understands that there's corruption out there. I believe that.
Right. Yeah.
I don't understand. To me, it actually is so baffling that they can't think that this is corrupt, that something is corrupt about what's going on.
Yeah.
Because in my eyes, I've always seen it's corrupt, you know?
Yeah.
And I think everybody has. Everybody has. Like Kyle's parents know there's corruption, but they can't imagine that they would hurt us in
Yes.
such a grand way. That's a big way.
Yeah.
That's hard to hold.
Yeah.
Generations, like how much hate do you have to have for humans to dedicate generations of your life, generations of your family
It is.
to doing this?
It is. Yeah. Yeah. It is really hard to wrap your head around.
It
I know
is.
I struggled with it, and I still kind of do, but the idea, and this is going far down the hole, but the idea that it's actually either a worship,
Like a
or
cult. Yes.
a different species.
Yes. Right. We've talked about that before. Yeah.
You know, that's like, oh, okay, that I could understand. But
Yeah.
as a human being, it's like, what, why? How does your soul not stop you?
Yeah.
You know, I understand if you're in a survival mode and you have to kill something or people or whatever just to survive, but like you're just doing it for like, I don't know, I don't even know why, like shits and giggles, like
Yeah.
it makes
And
you
that's
feel-
why we can't imagine, because like
yeah,
what human that you've met in everyday life is capable of that? They're not.
Yeah.
They're not, because
Yeah.
and that's where maybe that's why it is easy to go down these rabbit holes and be like, oh, okay, even though that sounds outlandish, okay, reptilians,
Yeah.
whatever, even though it sounds outlandish, that might explain what the F is going on, because I can't explain what the F is going on here.
Yes, yes,
So maybe I'll listen to this story and I'll see
yeah,
if it could have some truth,
yes,
you know?
completely. And there are other people
Yeah.
who are sharing this information. So
Yes.
it makes some kind of sense to them as well. And it's like, oh, maybe there's something to this.
Maybe.
But yeah, I remember like in the summer, early fall, when they were starting to mandate things.
Right.
And I remember like, you know, it was already known that this wasn't actually working
Mm.
against what they were saying it was meant to work against. And Dan and I would talk, and he's like, I don't understand, like, why are they like, this is like next level greed? And I'm like, I hope it's just greed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, at this point, I actually hope that it's only greed, because if it's something more sinister,
That's hard to.
people are gonna have a hard time. And I remember thinking like, you know, hope, whatever, it is what it is, it can keep you going. But you know, there was that twinge in me that was like, it seems more sinister, so I really hope that it's not.
Yeah.
And then now we see how detrimental it has been for so many people, and it's like, oh yeah, no, this is next level. And the fact that some people still can't see that, yeah, that's
concerning.
mind-boggling.
It's
That's-
concerning.
yeah.
It's I don't even know what to call it. I don't want to judge it, but I have a hard time. I have a hard time being
You
like,
said it so calmly.
Yeah.
It's concerning.
it's concerning. It does. It concerns me, Robena. It concerns me.
I mean, it doesn't keep me up at night, but you know, I'm feeling so great about it. Yeah.
It's like, it is hard.
Right?
It's hard to wrap my head around. How do you not see it? And I had a thought the other day. I was going to the grocery store, and I was just, there's still so many people wearing masks, right? Even though the mandates have been lifted. And I guess it kind of
Yes.
surprises me a little bit. But then
Yes.
it was like, so, you know, not in judgment to them, but just like, wow, the fear is so strong, like that still carries on, right?
And belief in the fear.
The belief in the fear, yes.
Yes.
And the belief in the fear. And it was just like, wow, like even with everything, you're not seeing it. And I think so many people have turned off the TV now Maybe I was like, is it possible that these people don't even know the mandate's gone? Like,
Maybe, yeah.
they're just still reliving like Groundhog Day. You know what I mean? They're still reliving the day that what it was like this day they decided they're going to just tune out, right? And just try to live their
Yeah.
life. And I was like trying to decide, like, you know, I wonder what it is. I wonder.
Yeah, that is a good point. That is a good
People
point.
checked out and are just reliving that same way of being every day.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I remember, it was just last week, but Monday. So that was the first day that
The mandate went,
I went out. I'm like, I'm going to Costco.
I'm going to all the places.
Nazis. They were like Nazis. I kept seeing videos of them taking people down.
Oh my
like
goodness.
the security taking people down who weren't wearing masks. So I was like, oh my God. And yeah, around early February, I was kind of like, I'm done with this. With the freedom convoy and stuff, I was like, no, I need to do my part. I need to stand my ground. But I would avoid certain places that I knew were Nazis about the mask, like Fortino's. So yeah, I was like, nope, Costco I'm going. So I went there and I went to Superstore and I went to Superstore first. And I was like, all the employees still had masks on.
Yeah.
And I heard, is the company forcing them to keep them on?
I was
Like,
wondering the same thing too.
Whatever, I'm going along. And it was funny because I could see like a clear demographic of wearing them and not wearing them. And it was very, very reassuring to see a lot of like young, like our age, maybe younger moms.
Yeah.
And like all their kids. However, but this one mom had like 5 kids she was towing. I'm like, why aren't you guys in school? But yeah, maybe she homeschools because clearly is like not in the programming. So so that was very, very reassuring to see that. And then like it was the older people who kept masks on.
Yeah, and I understand that.
I think it's interesting. You guys are still afraid.
I think it's interesting that, you know, the removal of the mandate, but like where you still wear it in hospitals, long-term care homes, like that's what it, to me, this is my opinion, that's what I think it should have been in the first place. And it took us 2 years to get to where it should have been in the first place. So interesting. But I'm fascinated by the injection of fear, man, around this. And I just, it breaks my heart because it breaks my heart about the kind of recovery and healing that's going to be needed. Because things are not as they seem. Smoke and mirrors is right.
Yeah. And it was somewhat reassuring to see how much questioning there was around the war as well. Like I was like, okay, no, there are a lot of people that are waking up, and you can see like most people are like, what's actually happening over there?
I think so many people are confused.
Yeah. And I mean, so am I. And I read all like the others, right? And I'm like, I still don't know. Is Putin a part of the WEF? I don't know. Was his picture just put on the website as like
that's something we have to wonder too. Like,
is this all part of the theater of what our life is stuck in right now? So it's very, very confusing. And then if you're watching mainstream media, you're seeing like recycled footage from Palestine and Iraq and wherever else that kind of looks Ukrainian. It's like, what is going on here?
Oh my goodness, did you see the one? Oh my god, it was like, I don't know where it was. I don't really fully catch what it is, but I catch clips of it. And it's a reporter who's reporting in Ukraine, and there's all these dead bodies like on the ground covered up.
I posted that on my Facebook.
Maybe it's you that I saw it from. And then the one, like the wind is blowing and it lifts up the thing and the guy pulls it down on it. Oh my God. Oh my God. And then Kyle, is funny because Kyle found that too. And then he showed it to me. I was like, oh my God, I've seen that. It must have been.
Woman runs over. She's like trying to fix it. Like, what is happening here?
That's what I thought. I was like, oh my goodness.
Guys just
my
standing
goodness.
there reporting, trying to be all serious, no idea what's happening behind them. It's like unbelievable, unbelievable.
Like I just don't know how we can put full trust in, like, there are people that can put full trust in the media, because like we know about deep fakes. We know about, you know what I mean? These deep fake videos, you can make anything seem like anything these days.
Yes.
Like, so how can you not do your due diligence to look at different sources and not dismiss it and then come to a conclusion?
Yeah.
I mean, spiritually, that's the training we're going through, right? Is to learn how to discern for ourselves what's for us. Because even what I'm saying right now, somebody could, like, you know, or let's use the example. I shared a post on my personal page just earlier this afternoon, and it's my friend who is a permaculture farmer, right? And she's created an online academy, and so I wanted to share it with people to be like, is to learn to grow your own food, right?
Awesome.
Because that's how they learned. They learned from scratch. Her and her partner did it from scratch, and then started serving 60 families and made a really thriving business from it in Ontario. And so I was like, I shared this because I'm like, that's a really valuable resource. And then somebody responded, and she's like, well, it's great. It's a great idea, but I don't have the money for that. And so it's interesting because I immediately went to feeling bad. And then I'm like, no, I'm not going to feel bad, because that's okay. This isn't for you. But my putting it out there, maybe it plants a seed for, oh, there's people doing something like this. Because I guarantee you there's another one doing it for a lower price or doing it free. I guarantee there's community people that are doing it, right? Or I guarantee there's a lot of YouTube channels. Like, I know a YouTube channel that's homesteading. Janine's the one that shared it. It's her niece, right, who's doing homesteading and sharing on YouTube their journey with it. Like, they're just figuring it out, right? And so that's what we like. Where was I? I lost my train of thought again. I think I was trying to get to, this is how the antidote to this fear. Focusing on the fear isn't helping us. But what we can start to do is start planting seeds like that. Start realizing that we could create it. Like, okay, so you don't have the money to access this service, but if you have that skill, you could create something like that. Start with 4 people, you know, I don't know, have 4 people's backyards, and you know what I mean? There's all kinds of options. There's unlimited potential.
Yeah. Or just give somebody the motivation to try to grow some of their own food.
Yeah, even
if
herbs.
It's just like a tomato plant.
Yes, one vegetable.
Yeah.
Like, it could be 4 friends. It could be 4 friends. I'll grow the tomatoes in my backyard. You grow the cucumbers in your backyard. You grow the lettuce. You know what I mean? And then we'll have an abundant supply of salad all, you know, summer.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, that's how it starts. That's how it starts. And I just think we're at a point now where we have to start. We need to stop looking at the fear and just start creating then what we need.
Yeah. And so that's the thing. We've been kind of told that we are reliant on these systems, and to get away from that, is I guess just too hard for a lot of people.
It is hard, and it, you know, it is hard, but that's okay.
But not impossible.
It's not impossible. There's all like, you know, and I guess that's my invitation to people is can you invite a possibility in? Like, can you allow, it could be possible. It could be possible somebody is doing this kind of stuff for free. Maybe I could find them. It could be possible that I have a friend who's got a great green thumb, and maybe they could help me, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
It's possible that I could plant one plant and create a little bit of abundance with that one plant.
Yeah,
totally. We're just so much more powerful than we realize, right?
Yeah.
We are.
Yeah, but and that's, I guess that's one of the concerns that I have going forward, because I know that's where we're headed. I know these systems are collapsing. I keep hearing 2024. This is going to be like the renewal.
Yeah.
Everything else will have collapsed that's not serving us, and we'll be into, you know, sort of a new earth, I guess, so to speak. But it's like, how do you get people to give up what they've known? Because I know things are going to be revealed that will shock a lot of people, probably, you know, make a lot of people spiral down into somewhere that they can't get back out of. And I know that's going to wake a lot of people up abruptly. So yeah, I guess I'm kind of like, oh, is there a way to, okay, we can do this. This is the way.
I see it as us speaking our truth then. Us showing people that there is another way. Like in September, I started to see that. I started to see like all these things that I was wondering, how long will it take us to create that, right? I started to realize people were already creating it. And I was like, oh. And so I feel like those were big moments for me.
Right.
And so I think I trust that those will be big moments for these people too, right? They'll have the abrupt awakening. We'll be there to help hold them. We'll be there to help hold them, to help walk them through, right? And then what will happen is they'll start seeing a different thing. And what they'll see is, oh, somebody's already doing this. Oh, somebody's doing this. Like, oh, that's how I started to feel jumping into this world of different people that I've ever had in my life, you know? And I started to realize like, oh, people think like this, like, oh, it's possible to do that.
That's interesting because I haven't even seen, like I have yet to see people actually doing these things, like as far as being self-reliant with their food source and governing themselves.
Yeah.
Now this is a big thing once the government's gone, which it will be, you know, how do you set up new, I don't want to say new systems, but like new paradigms,
just new ways of living,
self-governing and smaller community governing, as opposed to having like some king or some idiot at the top saying what.
I see it in Eldora and Saman's community. That's where I see it mostly.
Okay.
To me, they are the most advanced teachers I've seen on the earth. Like, you know, aside from like our ascended masters and guides in spirit realm, right? Eldora and Saman are the most advanced in terms of human that I know of. And so it's really interesting to dive into their community and like learn about these people. I learned recently about like they were talking about they have people that actually have this sovereignty card that declares I am a sovereign human. And it was like they just kind of mentioned it in passing. And of course I was like, what? Wrote that down, right?
Driver's license?
That's almost like it's like a card, like declaring they're a sovereign human. And so I've been diving into this. Yeah, I've been diving into this a little, and I gotta say it's like so out of my comfort zone, like not something I'm ready to go and do, right? But there are like there are these common law legal processes to get that. And so these friends of theirs, these people in their community are traveling freely using it. And I was like, what?
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? And so then, so these are the moments where I'm like, okay, so there is an option. I feel like it's a little out there for me right now, but I want to do that too. So I'm not going to judge them because I want to be free to do that too. And so I put out to the universe like, hey, I want to have a sovereign document.
Seriously, yeah. Listen, I was born, therefore I'm sovereign.
That's kind of what it is. Yeah.
Kind
of what it is.
Get rid of this birth certificate.
Yes. So they changed they write their name a very particular way to be disidentified from the birth certificate program.
Wow.
It's kind of wild. It's a little wild. But of course you read with it the judgments of these people, and it's like, you know, so then of course it's like, oh, I don't want to be judged like that. But
right. Yeah.
but you know, they're seeds. To me, it's just seeds of awareness that, oh, there is other ways. There are other ways. There are people living other ways right now.
Yeah.
Eldora and
That's-
Saman are vagabonds. They just like go everywhere. They live this great life. They've unlocked their abundance. Like, it's pretty cool. And I want the life they have, but I want it with my family, with children. They don't have children. So every time I watch them, I'm like, okay, it's possible. It's possible.
Cool. Are they the ones that produced that movie with I forget his name, but it was the trauma movie?
No, is that Gabor Mate? Is that what you're talking about? The Wisdom of Trauma?
Yeah.
No, Eldora and Saman are totally, no, they're just.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
because I know it was a couple that like produced the documentary.
Oh, right. Yeah. The couple that produced that. Yeah, it's not them, but yeah.
Different. Okay. Cool. Yeah, no, that's so funny. That alone, I'm just like, oh, okay. No, it's okay. It's doable.
That's exactly it.
Already.
It's like, there's people doing it. Okay, so I'll figure out my way. That's exactly it. To me, it's like, okay, there's a little bit of evidence that it's possible.
Yes.
Maybe I don't feel like it's possible for me right now, but that's my fear. I just need to reconcile my fear around it and put out to the universe that I want that I want that experience too.
Yeah.
So, and
then it's just not time. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's what I think. I believe that as people sort of awaken, we just keep speaking our truth, that there are other possibilities out there. We just keep on speaking it.
Right. Yeah.
And I feel like it gets easier and easier as people find out more and more, but I feel like there's the part of me that wishes it would just happen tomorrow. Like, there's the part of me that wishes, like Clockwork Orange, they just freaking open their eyes and make them watch everything, right? Like, there is part of me that just wishes, can't we do that to all the humans? Can we just do that?
Right. Yeah. Oh man. No, that would make things easier, right? But yeah. No, so I have another question that I've been pondering for a bit. It was another video that I got from this friend on Telegram about, and I know people have been thinking about this for a long time. Do you believe that the earth is flat?
I don't know where I sit with that one. Have you watched the documentary, the Flat Earth Society documentary?
No, it's just like I don't know, 7 or 8 minute clip of a video about basically kind of explaining how the sun sets.
Yes.
And what we're actually seeing.
Yeah.
It's not that the earth is moving.
Yeah.
It's that the sun is actually going down on our horizon, and it shows like actual visual, like hydro lines, and we see them disappearing and getting smaller, and this is why it appears spherical.
It's interesting. My husband and I watched the Flat Earth Society documentary, and I'm not going to lie, like by the end of it, we were a little like, I kind of understand where they're coming from, but then it was like, oh man, we don't want to tell people that, right? Like,
no, I know. Because
my husband's yelling, what? No. I wasn't finished talking. Okay, so Kyle, I will represent Kyle accurately. He says that they didn't seem as nuts as he thought they were.
Right?
But that's exactly what I mean. Like, it wasn't so, they weren't crazy.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
weren't, it's almost like what the media make Trump supporters look like, right? It's like,
Well, and yeah, wasn't that part of like didn't that get sucked into the whole Trump thing? Is like,
oh,
oh, the
possibly. Yeah. I don't know.
QAnon and flat earthers and all this other stuff while he was president there. Yeah. So I watched this like video clip and I'm just like,
What?
okay. I stopped and I'm like, okay, what would be the benefit for them for us to believe that the earth was round? What's the benefit there?
That's a
And so
really
I
good
asked my
question.
friend, I messaged back. I'm like, well, why would they want us to think this? What's in it for them? And she's like, yeah, I really don't know. And so I started thinking about it because
That's
that's
a great
what
question.
us clubs do.
Yep.
And I'm like, I wonder if we were flat, then that means that there could potentially be parallel universes. And instead of that linear timeline, we are actually
We would actually
vertical
realize
and
that.
going straight up.
Ooh,
and
I
it
just
was
got some
because
truth bumps.
I thought about that and I'm like, I wonder if that's it. You know, because sometimes you think you're just making this shit up in your head.
Oh yeah, I know.
We know
Yep.
now it's like these thoughts don't come out of nowhere.
Yes, that's a really important thing. Like knowing that we realize they are exact. We can't conceive the thought if it wasn't some kind of truth, right? Like, yeah, that's been important to
Oh.
know.
And it was the next time I meditated, because every time when I do actually meditate, it's not regularly, but when I do, I open up the Akashic records.
Yeah, yeah.
It just works for me. And as I'm doing that, actually, you know, I visualize like from the top of my head going up into space and all of that. And I saw going up from a flat earth and going straight through all these other
All these
different
things.
dimensions
Yeah,
and universes
yeah.
to get to.
And each one is different. Each one is a very different. Yes, I've been through that experience too. Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I'm like, I wonder if that's because I saw another thing. I think she sent me another thing that was about the flat earth. And I'm like, oh yes, because there was like scientific evidence of a dome
Yes.
is over top of that.
Yes.
And I didn't really, I think I was picking up the kids, so I didn't see the whole thing. But then I was like, I was like, okay, so I have a theory. I messaged her back. I'm like, this is why I think maybe. And she's like, I fucking love that. She's like, that's
Yeah.
great. I love it. Love it. Because she really didn't have an answer
Yeah.
for
I got truth bumps when you said it.
right?
It
Like you
makes
think
sense. That makes sense.
parallel, because that's always been a crazy idea, these parallel universes. But what if, yeah,
We are
But
multidimensional beings.
yeah. But then it just opens up a whole another bag of questions, you know, Pandora's box of, well, are all the planets flat? Are there even other planets?
Are they circling around each other like they say? Are they?
Are all the planets a part of us? Oh my God, what is going on? These are all things I need to ask Jonah. I need to get on these calls and ask Jonah about. Like, come on, give me the answers.
Yeah.
And then so she also sends a lot of stuff about NASA.
Yeah.
And that being total. So all these pictures, like I know there's satellites floating around in space.
Yeah.
I mean, that just makes sense as far as our communications. But then I'm like, are they actually in space? Are they maybe still in our atmosphere?
I know. This is the thing. Like as you
so
awaken,
crazy,
as you awaken, you question everything. You question all of it.
Yeah.
You go you go nuts, right? Like it's like that's why Natalie and I started those conversations parenting, because it's like suddenly I'm questioning my parenting. I'm questioning like everything I'm trying to push on my children. Like, I don't know, I don't know. And
Yeah.
it's okay to question, but it's also okay to just live right now, like with what
Yeah.
we have, right? With what we know and
Yeah.
what we have, and take care of ourselves. So
Yeah. I know it was funny. I was watching, actually, when I was folding clothes too, I was watching, I don't know if you ever see Russell Brand.
oh yeah,
His-
I love watching
on
him.
YouTube. I love him. So he put out a video today about them putting Facebook into like programs in schools in the US. And it's, of course, it's to collect data, which they all are. That's the purpose of all of them. But they're saying that it's to keep the teachers and the students more connected, so that teachers are aware of any depression or anxiety or mental health issues that might come for children. And he's like, he said something along the lines of, we don't need more schooling, we need to unschool ourselves and the kids and just like get them out of these, because he was talking about basically being raised as compliant beings to go out into the workforce and just do your job.
Kyle and I were talking about that recently. Like, it's so true. Like, they're almost like the, I don't know, students coming out of school these days are so incapacitated by life, because life is nothing like what they've learned. They've just learned to, that, which makes sense. You get so like overwhelmed that you just give your power away. Like, okay, you tell me what to do, because I can't figure this out. I can't figure this out. We're unschooling too. That's definitely something that we're doing here. That's interesting. Yeah.
It is. It's funny because I'm still sending my kids to school because I believe the social aspect is important to them. And I believe I can unschool them at home.
As you need. Exactly.
Afterwards. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to matter. What you believe is what matters. Like what you believe. If you believe that, then that's exactly what will happen. Yeah.
Like even my oldest, the educational assistant, the one day I was picking him up and we're very, very friendly. She's like, oh, not too much work. I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. Don't stress out. I don't
because
care.
I don't care. So
and if anybody gives you a hard time,
you tell them
work is not getting done, tell me.
Yeah.
And I will make them not care.
Yeah.
And if they still don't believe it, I'll get Dan to call them and then they hate their life. Because that's the effect that he has. Oh yeah, no. The whole masking the little guy thing. I was finally like, yeah, you just need to call. Because gaslighting me right up the ass and for you to step in. He's like, full permission from you. I'm like,
all right. I'm in.
They wouldn't listen to me. There you go. Yeah. So yeah, it's like, and I wonder if it even mattered before, but now that they don't even fail kids, what is that anyways? Like, what are these grades? What is this report card?
What's the point of doing all that then?
Yeah.
If it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Exactly. What's the point of curriculum? What's the point?
What's the point of EQAO testing? Like what's the point of any of it?
Oh my God. I will not. I haven't heard anything about it because my oldest Sarah's in grade 3.
Oh, and they never even, I guess now.
You know, he also has special needs, so he gets different. Yeah, so, but yeah, he won't be doing it. I'm like, even my little one is when the time comes. I'm like, forget this, if there's even public schools by then.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
We'll see.
We'll see what's going to happen with that system.
Yeah, completely.
Because that system, it's just crazy. I love that all of the systems are crumbling. It is scary though. It's scary that they're all crumbling and we don't see it very clearly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That there are things
Yeah.
happening. But I have
Yeah.
seen glimpses of it. I have seen glimpses of really cool things being created. I told you with the school Sherry Div band, she's creating
Yes.
this really cool
Yes.
school model. And I see in Florida, there is this really cool school called Centner Academy, and they are running on this really cool model. And I follow them on Instagram, and they, you know, they've been so awesome, like in what they're doing. I just love what they're doing. So
Cool.
that gives me hope because there are a lot
Yeah.
of people that really care about the kids.
Yeah.
And they have been trying to express that through a broken system, through a controlled system,
Yes.
and they're burning out. So I feel for the teachers.
Yeah.
They didn't get into it to corrupt people. They didn't get into it to control children, you know. They got
Yes.
into it because they wanted to really contribute and thought they could do it through
Yeah.
there, because that's what
Yeah.
we're told.
Yeah.
And
Making
they're
impact.
realizing. And as those people awaken, they will find new avenues.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
believe that.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because I said to Dan, I'm like, I don't know what these trustees and board of education employees and stuff, I don't know what they're thinking because they're putting themselves out of a job. Educators will find somewhere else to work. That's, you know, everybody, the good ones,
Yeah.
like you said, the ones that actually
The
care.
ones that
Find some-
actually genuinely,
are soul driven in what they chose to do. But yeah, these people are putting themselves out of jobs. It's like, what are you thinking? What are you doing? Like, you are making yourselves obsolete. What do you think you're going to go to? I don't understand. Yeah, that was one of my questions back with all the lockdowns. I'm like, you people are just
they're all just dissolving themselves.
what's happening.
Like, okay, if you want to go down with the sinking ship, okay.
Honestly. Yeah, no, it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder. No,
Yeah.
no. He's got like bubble
Is that
wrap,
what the sound is? Oh, okay, yeah.
like right beside me. He was gone for like 20. Stop. No, no.
Well, I'm going to have to end the call. I've got to get going.
Yes.
But oh my gosh, I love these deep
No
dives.
problem.
And anybody
Yes.
catching this on the
Questions for
replay,
next time.
yeah, keep the question. Anybody catching this on a replay, yeah, this is what we do. This is just a conversation of whatever comes up. What are the questions? What are the things you're trying to reconcile? Because these are big concepts. That's the thing in spirituality and in the corruption of the world, what we're seeing crumble, is that we learn these concepts and it takes time to really explore the concepts, right? And so that's what this is for.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Now, these conversations and the bouncing off of, you know, ideas and information. I mean, this is what society is supposed to be built on too.
Yeah.
Like, this is how we evolve.
Yeah, we share each other's wisdom and each other's perspectives.
Yeah.
And that helps us form healthy ways forward.
Yeah. And I mean, we do see eye to eye on a lot of things, which makes it easier to have the conversation. But even if you don't, that's a really good
more
point. Beneficial.
Yes. Like, wouldn't it be nice to have somebody actually that doesn't agree with these thoughts and share in a respectful way? Because some people have not shared it in a respectful way.
This is what I think, and this is why.
Exactly. And it's like, oh, because that gives us something to think about, because we're trying to reconcile these things. And it's good that we don't have, that's where we've gotten into trouble. We listen to one way of thinking. Well, it's right to listen to all the different ways and then sort of make opinions from there and change your opinion too as it goes.
Yes.
There's been times people have said things to me that I'm like, oh, well, maybe, you know, thank you. I'll think about that.
I never looked at it that way. All right.
Yeah.
Leave me with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. 100%.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, you as well.
Yeah.
All right.
Say bye to your boys there.